Okay, excuse me. Well, happy Wednesday. I am going live to answer speaker related questions that were sent to me via uh, comments on the post or private message or email. So we're going to go on and get into it. My name is Dr. Kristen Guillory. I am excited to be here. What's up, y'all? As you join, say chiller, say what's up, anything you'd like. So we're going to go on and get into these questions. You ready? You ready? First question is, yes, Jose, what's up? I'm sorry. Sophistication. Here we go. First question is, with you being an amazing speaker coach, oh, well, thank you, that you are speaking in front of hundreds of people, why does Facebook Live freak you out when it's only you and a camera? So this question is based on, in my post yesterday, I said, I'm going to do this even though Facebook Lives freak me out. Why do they freak me out? Good question. It's a mental thing. I think for me, initially it was, ooh, I see that 5 people are on. What if it turns to 3? Does that mean people weren't enjoying it? Does it mean that I have to respond to every comment? It was just, I got in my head. I'm very comfortable recording videos now and posting them, but believe it or not, in the very beginning when I was recording videos, I was petrified. I was terrified. One of my first professional videos, my publicist called me and she said, good news and bad news. Good news is you looked beautiful. Bad news is we've got to re-record because you seemed so nervous. You didn't really seem like yourself. And so I had to get out of my head. I would nitpick every single thing. Can y'all relate to me? Where you look at a video that you record and you nitpick everything and you don't post it. But for me to post it, it's about what I'm sharing. It's about the content. So even though initially Facebook Lives kind of freaked me out and I didn't do them for a while, I've wanted to do a weekly Facebook Live for about 2 years. And because of fear, oh snap, I didn't. But I made a challenge to myself on Sunday and I said, I'm going to do it by any means necessary. And here it is. I don't believe in comfort. I don't believe in doing it when I'm ready, because if I wait for comfort, I'll never do it. If I wait to be ready, I would never do it. And I believe that comfort is the enemy of success and joy. Hey, Dr. Herndon, what's up? Next question. So what inspired you to pursue a career in motivational speaking? Well, I did not necessarily pursue it, rather than it kind of pursued me. And shout out to Sheila for posting this question. Sheila is a brilliant actress, just an amazing woman I've known for like 10 years. So speaking, oh yeah, I don't even cover me either. So speaking for me is a part of what I do. So yes, a part of what I do is motivational speaking, transformational speaking, inspirational speaking. I also offer professional development training. I also am a coach. For a while, I was a professor. Another time, I was a therapist. And very long story short, I got my first invitation to speak about 13 years ago. I was tutoring a teacher at Carter High School. She was in graduate school. I was working on my PhD, and I was tutoring her in statistics. Side note, don't contact me for tutoring in stats. So don't do that anymore. And she learned my age and she learned that I was working on a PhD, and she said, oh my gosh, my students need to meet you. You're young, you're a Black woman, and you're working on a PhD. And then another teacher came in and asked me to speak to her students. So in a matter of 5 minutes, I was invited to speak to 300 students. I did that, and I just kept getting opportunities and opportunities and then opportunities to be a professional development trainer. But when I started being intentional about it was 2 things. One, when I realized people were wanting to pay me to do this, they were asking me what my fees were. And 2, when I realized that I had a gift. I am not pretending that I'm the best speaker by any means, but I have recognized that I have a gift to allow people to feel comfortable in spaces where they might be uncomfortable. I have a gift to allow an experience to happen that connects at a heart level. And I was not honoring that gift. I wasn't cultivating that gift. And that was not good. Oh, and bonus, I also realized that there was a need for someone like me, as well as those of you who also are speaking or want to speak as well. There was a need for someone like me with my personality, my background, being a woman, being a Black woman, playing music, dancing, and being okay, being transparent and saying, it's okay not to be okay. And so once I saw that there were those needs, I started pursuing it and being intentional and learning that I could charge and doing market research and getting coaching and all of that. And I absolutely love what I get to do. Next question. This is from Brianna Williams. Hello. She says, what do you do to vet potential clients from outside of your network, especially international speaking requests? I recently received a request to speak in the UK, and I'm a little weary of this request. We do not have any mutual colleagues. So first of all, shout out. Congratulations. So generally what I do is, although 80 to 85% of my engagements are referral or it comes from someone who I might know, there's a good percentage of folks that I don't know who either have seen me on social media, they found my website or something like that. And here is what I recommend you do, regardless of whether you know the person or not. I'm assuming they've emailed you or they filled out your speaker request form. Now what I want to encourage you to do is send them an email back. Thank you so much for thinking of me. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Can we schedule a phone chat? Put in 2 to 3 different dates and times that might work for them. Of course, make sure you say Central Standard Time since they're in the UK. And when they get back to you and let you know the time that they prefer, you send them a Google link. So maybe y'all have a Google phone chat or you chat via Zoom. On that call, make sure you have a genuine curiosity. I have a 4-part booking framework, and I'm going to give it to you right now. You ready? You ready? Ready? Okay. So 4 parts. The first part is you say thank you. You hop on that call. Oh, and side note, I literally get on calls for about every person who's interested in booking me. It's either me or it's one of my team members. For a while, it was always one of my team members. Now I do it because I'm really good at it and I enjoy getting on the call. So first part of the call is thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for thinking of me. Second part of the call is you have a genuine curiosity about who you're talking to. Ask them questions about the event, about the organization, about what they want you to do, just anything that you need to know about the engagement. Third part is what I like to call the pitch. You're telling them what you think you might do to fulfill their need, because as a speaker, anytime we're coming in, we're fulfilling some kind of need. And the fourth part is you tell them your fee and you begin negotiating, but hop on a call with them. Congratulations on that opportunity. Okay, boo. Next question. How do you handle a long-winded person you engage for short interactions and sharing during a talk or workshop? Absolutely. The best way to do it is, one, if someone wants to share, I want to honor that opportunity and give them space to share. But if they continue to share for a while, what I like, if y'all know double Dutch, right? Double Dutch, you get in when you can. I just kind of glide in and they say, I said, you know, it's such a great point. Thank you so much for sharing. How many of you can relate to what your colleague just shared? And then I'm able to move on. So again, you kind of get in, you hear them. Oh, wow. Thank you so much for sharing. How many of you can relate to what you just heard? And you have the right to respectfully cut people off, and you want to make sure that you don't just have one voice who's the main voice sharing at the event. Thank you so much for sharing. Awesome. Let me hear from maybe someone in the back who maybe hasn't had the opportunity to share, but you want to honor them, but also slide in there to make sure that they're not taking over and going too long. Next question. If you have 2 types of businesses, do you promote to everyone from one email list? For example, you have Cozy Convos and Dr. G Speaks. You're speaking. When someone subscribes to your email from your website, would they go to Cozy Convos? I'm asking for myself since I'm promoting myself as a speaker, but I also have a separate podcast and a community health group, and we promote health and wellness. So here's how you address that. If you well, let me back it up. Less is more. Ask anyone who's ever worked with me in a coaching capacity, less is more. What I mean by that is there's no need to have multiple email groups yet unless you've had this one group for a significant amount of time. So what you do is if someone's subscribing on your website, that's a general thing. For me, I have my general mail list that you go to chrissingular.com and you can subscribe there. And then the Cozy Convos group, they were only subscribed if they registered for or attended one of the events. So there's a separate Cozy Convos group. I do have a speaker group, those who've been at my speaker events or those who have downloaded some of my free speaker resources. And then there's a general one. For you, I would recommend that you have your general one because you have a podcast, you are speaking, and you have your you have your group where you promote community health and wellness, but they're all underneath the same umbrella. Now, with the community health group, if it's specific things and reminders that you want to send out, yes, you want to have that separate group, or maybe you send some tips out and you remind them of things. But your general mailing list, I think right now you can just have one, because that's what you do. Everything you do is under that umbrella. For me, speaking is a part of what I do, but I strive to do everything under the umbrella of healing, hope, and purpose. So I use my voice to help people heal, whether it's through speaking or coaching or professional development training, to also instill hope and connect to purpose. So I recommend you do one group right now, unless the community health group has very specific things, and then you send out an email from time to time so they can get that information. So I hope that was helpful. If not, just send me a message. Next question. I competed in several public speaking events in high school and functions in college. How important is it to have a vocabulary? To me, what is most important is that you are authentically who you are. Now, if you are someone who uses 4 and 5 syllable words and that's naturally who you are, then do that. Be who you are, but you don't have to add new words and vocabulary to be someone you are not. What is important, more important than vocabulary, is making sure you are enunciating and pronouncing your words so your audience can strive to understand you to the best of their ability. I'm going to tell you what's important about just being yourself. I had a conversation with someone who works in Georgia, and she is the president of a particular organization, and this organization was partnering with another organization. So I'll say organization A, organization B. They were partnering with them for an event, and she said, I have to do a welcome. It's about 2 or 3 minutes. And I said, what are you going to say? She said, I'm going to say, well, good evening, my name is. I said, that's okay, but what can you really say? I have a speaker framework that I guide my speakers through, and the first part of that framework is to have a powerful opening. You can absolutely start with good morning, good evening, good afternoon. However, starting maybe with a story or with a quote or with a statistic brings your audience in a little bit more. You want to bring them in, or come in the music like I sometimes do. So for her, she said, well, I normally, when I'm hosting the meeting just for my group, I say, what's up, group A? I said, then say that. Oh, I'm not sure, the other group might not be as relaxed as we are. I said, but if that is authentically who you are, do that. Because what I've discovered is people, whether corporate, higher education, nonprofit sector, faith sector, people are sometimes unknowingly looking for opportunities just to be, looking for permission to relax. And so she said, I normally say, what's up, group 1? I said, then start it like that. So she practiced it and said she was going to start it with, what's up, group 1? I normally start my meetings with that, but since we're combined with group 1 and group 2, when I say what's up, y'all just say what's up back. What's up, group 1? What's up, group 2? And the whole room said what's up. She emailed me and said, oh my gosh, it went so well. We hopped on a call. It went so well that the people who were on the panelists later, they were saying what's up, and it even became a hashtag. Pretty cool, and it was just her being who she is. Now, if what's up is not part of your vernacular, don't use it, but be who you are. Folks are looking for the real. They're looking to connect. They're looking to relate. If you agree, let me know. Just say, yep, agree. Be who you are. Some of the feedback that I get after engagements is, you are so real. You're not just telling us that you're perfect. You're telling us mistakes you've made. Be who you are. Absolutely be who you are. Next question. How long can speaking last as a career? Speaking can last as long as you want it to last. There will always be a need for inspiration, encouragement, teaching, challenging, inspiring. Now with technology, you can inspire and reach people internationally. But here's the key. Make sure that you always sharpen your craft. Make sure that you never get complacent and too comfortable into what you're doing. And y'all know my rule. If you've ever worked with me, you know I believe in don't you ever wing it. Don't you ever get on stage and wing it. I don't care if it's a 2-minute opportunity, a 1-minute opportunity, a 3-hour opportunity. Winging it disrespects your audience. That's something I will say I've never done. I've never gotten on stage without preparation, unless somebody literally said, Dr. Guillory, would you come up and give some remarks? But you can do it as long as you want, but honor it and be mindful of that. Absolutely. Mrs. Sherman, be who you are. Shout out. The next question, how do you stop your voice from shaking and sounding nervous? One of the things to do there is, and it's a mental activity and mental exercises, but one, to remember that you need to practice or think about what you want to say, number one. Two, that the audience is cheering for you. The audience wants you to win. Practice, the audience wants you to win. And number three, remember that you know what you're talking about. If you're getting in front of someone, you know what you're talking about, and to remember that. Also, remember to breathe. Remember to pray and take your time. And sometimes, not sometimes, I'm actually nervous before every engagement. Every single engagement, I am nervous, and that's okay. Being nervous for me is an indication that what I'm doing is important to me. If I'm not nervous, that tells me I'm walking into cocky or I haven't prayed. But you slow down, you breathe, you remember that they're cheering you on, that they want you to win. They don't want to see you fail. So that's how you work on a shaky voice and sounding nervous. And remember to practice. What can you do or say to stop using filler words? Filler words are so, you know, like, and. You know what I'm saying? Am I making sense? You know, and, okay, sorry, not sorry, whatever. Those are filler words. Here is what you do to get rid of filler words. In my coaching experiences and coaching programs, you'll notice, for those who have been a part, I don't spend time teaching you how to get rid of the ums and filler words. Instead, what we work on is how to create your stellar talk, how to put content together. So filler words go away when, one, you slow down. Two, you practice what you want to say. You go over what you want to say. And three, you've got to be okay with silence. Silence is okay. We say and fillers because our mind is running so fast and so quickly that we don't slow down, and we don't know it's okay to pause. So ways to fix the filler words is slow down. And if you have an engagement, make sure you practice beforehand, and I promise you they'll go away. The other time they'll go away is when you know what you want to say and you've practiced it. The times when we use filler words is when we're not sure and I think and this, but no, I'm going to sit back and really think about what I want to cover, what I want to convey. Good questions, everybody. Next question. How do you keep your train of thought when answering a question? I tend to lose my words I want to use to explain something. One is to slow down as you're sharing. Two, to remember the question. I've been there as well, where I'm answering a question, but I veer off. And if you veer off, just turn it back around and come back. So the question is, can you tell me how you keep your train of thought? How do you keep your train of thought when answering a question? Make sure your responses are about that. If you give a story, if you give a short anecdote, which is just fine, make sure it connects to the question. Make sure that you take time to pause, and make sure if you need clarification, ask clarification. I know I've been there and somebody asked a question, I'm gone off on a tangent. What was the question again? Oh, okay. And that's okay. Just come back and make sure. So you pause, take a moment to gather your thoughts, and then respond accordingly and ask them if they have any more questions or if they have any clarification that they need. Absolutely practice. Next question. What is the best way to ask for a monetary donation instead of a gift for a free nonprofit event? What is the best way to ask for a monetary donation instead of a gift for a free nonprofit event? Great question. Here's the best way to do it. I believe in sharing my fee for every engagement. Even if it's an engagement and I know I'm going to be doing it pro bono or accepting a little bit less, I believe it's important to share your fee. So here's what you can do. If it's an organization or an engagement and they've told you we have a limited budget, we're going to give you a gift, or we'd like to offer you this, you have the right to request mileage reimbursement. I absolutely believe mileage reimbursement is important, especially if you're driving a round trip of 30 miles or more. And they could say, could we get that to you in a gift card? If you prefer a check, if you prefer cash, you can let them know that, you know what, my fee is normally $2,500, but I believe in your mission. I believe in what you are doing. And I would like to ask for mileage reimbursement. I would like to ask for a meal, for you to cover a meal. I would also, if you have a product, I would like to ask that you purchase 30 of my books. You have the right to ask. You have the right to ask. I used to co-host these really awesome, beautiful girls events years ago, and all of our speakers would speak for free. And as you learn, as we kept going, we started offering the speakers vendor tables. We started offering the speakers t-shirts and meals, because you cannot have a conference without a speaker, right? You cannot have a conference without a speaker. Yet speakers are sometimes the last people who folks are trying to pay. And on some ends, I do understand it, because we're very often honored to get the opportunity. Like me, in the beginning of speaking, I kept getting invitation after invitation after invitation, and I was so honored to get the invitation. I didn't even know being compensated was an option until somebody asked me. And then it's not that you're paying me for the time I'm on stage. You're paying me. You're investing in me. You're investing in the opportunity for what I'm able to do with that 30 minutes. Give me 30 minutes. I will be able to do something with that 30 minutes that other people might not, or I'll be able to do something with that 30 minutes that is a one-of-a-kind experience. So you can ask for mileage reimbursement. You can also ask for a meal. You can also ask for lodging. If you're driving more than 2 hours, you might need lodging to spend the night. And you also have the right to ask, do you have any flexibility in your budget to offer a small honorarium? My fee is normally $2,500, but do you have any flexibility in your budget to offer even $200? So at that event that I mentioned, the girls event, we never had any of the speakers ask for money or compensation, but there was one time one of the speakers did ask and say, I'm a college student. Would you be willing to offer a gas card? And I thought, yes, absolutely. You're driving here. You're driving 45 minutes to get here, 20 minutes to get here. So you have the right to ask. I spoke at an event earlier this year, and I was not one of the keynotes. I was one of the mini workshop presenters, and they knew my fee, and they said, we know we're not able to compensate you in that way, but we are able to offer you $1,000. I know that is much less than what your fee is. Would you be willing to accept it? And I said, sure, absolutely. Let's work on it. A colleague of mine was at the same event, and I had a feeling that most of the other presenters who were there were not being paid. And so I chatted with him and I said, hey, what were you paid for this event? He said, nothing. I said, oh, okay. I was paid $1,000. And I said that to him because we have that relationship. And he was like, son of a. I said, why do you think I was paid that? He said, because you requested it. I said, yes. There have been plenty of events that I've discovered that I've been the only person who was compensated. Oh, we can't pay this, but we can cut you this check. Or I've had opportunities where folks have invited me to come in and train or do professional development training. And they said, our training budget is $1,500. What is your fee? And let's say for that event, my fee was $5,500. Oh, I don't know if we can cover that. There have been many times where I'll get an email 2 days later, 3 days later saying, our CEO looked at your website, our team discussed it, and we need what you have, and we're able to pay you that. So for events that don't have a budget, here is what you can ask. You ask for a gas card. If you don't want a card, you ask for cash. You ask for a meal. You ask for a vendor table. If you have product to sell, if it's a space that you think you could use for even one of your workshops or your activities, ask if they'd be willing to barter space and allow you to use the space for 3 hours over the next 12 months one time. You have the right to ask for them to purchase a certain number of your books, because sometimes in your budget line item, paying for speaker is going to be different than lodging and transportation. It very often, there's no problem flying me in and getting me hotel. We never negotiate over there. The negotiation comes in with the fee, and we work on it, and we're flexible. But you have the right to ask for your value. You have the right. You also have the right to negotiate, and you have the right to, even if, so for example, I just agreed to speak at an event pro bono. And although I'm doing it pro bono, I still informed them of what my fee is normally. That is important for people to know. For me, I do that quite often. You know what? Let's work on this. What do you have? Oh, we have this amount. I think we can work on that. I have a couple of pro bono items and other non-monetary compensation items I want to talk to you about, but I do need to let you know that my fee is this. Oh my gosh, that fee is high. Perhaps, but I know what I can bring to the table, and let's see if we can work this out. So again, here's the thing with asking for anything, whether it's photography, you ask, hey, are you going to have a photographer there to take our pictures? Whether it's your fee, whether it's to purchase your books, you've got to make sure that you're confident when asking. I don't want to be on the other line and somebody says, my fee is $1,000. So that's going to automatically tell me, oh, they'll take $500. But I also don't mean be cocky with it. My fee is $1,000. Boom. That's it. What's up? Mic drop. I don't mean that as well. I mean, you've got to be confident in knowing that this is the opportunity. This is my fee. This is the investment. And the final thing that I'll add to compensation is make sure that you are looking for the end game, that you're looking long term. So there might be that opportunity that does not have a budget, but the exposure, but the long-term gain, but where the opportunity might take you, but the social media exposure, but they'll let you sell your books. You've got to look at that. You've got to look at that as well, because yes, I look at being paid my rate, but I also look at will I be able to gain some coaching clients from this activity or opportunity? Will people be able to buy my book? But first and foremost, everybody say first and foremost. First and foremost, the most important thing is that I am striving to do my best and use the gifts that the Lord has given me to inspire, challenge, motivate, transform, educate. That's first and foremost, because your gifts literally will make room for you, but you've got to make sure to be intentional about using them. You've got to make sure that you sharpen them and you get coaching and you get all the things that you need. But that's most important, because as soon as you make money, number one, or the perks, number one, you've made your audience members into dollar signs, and that's disrespectful. It is an honor and a privilege every time I get on stage, and it is not abnormal for me to have 10 speaking invitation requests from one engagement. So honor your craft. Do not turn audience members into dollar signs, because trust that the gift and the passion that you have is going to make room, but don't be frivolous with it. Make sense? And remember, you do have the right to request, you do have the right to ask, and you do have the right to say, I'm not going to do this. I've actually given money back before. There was an organization who was willing to pay me, and I was led to give it back. Can I tell y'all something funny? Okay. So they gave me like $700, and it was a really small church, and they handed me a wad of money. And I was like, you know what? I'm led to give back 200. I'm led to give back 200. I gave back 500. And I was like, that would be rude for me to say, I gave you too much. But that's okay, because it wasn't even about that. So I also use discernment, and I encourage you to pray before engagements. Pray about your yeses. Be intentional about your yeses. Be intentional about your nos. And there may be an opportunity that's not for you. You can pass it on to someone else. But please know there is room for you. Please know there's room for your voice. And the final thing, and the question was about, is there a glass ceiling for being a speaker? He said, being a minority, is there a glass ceiling for speakers? Number one, I don't consider myself a minority. I'm a woman. I'm an aunt. I'm a person of color, because there's nothing minor about me. Snap. And is there a glass ceiling? There could be a glass ceiling in certain areas that aren't used to having Black women or people of color speaking there. And that may be a ceiling I'm not even interested in breaking, because I'll create my own ceiling, my own table. However, I do believe it's important for me to strive to make room and make space. Because if you think about it, when people think of keynote speakers, if it's an event for everybody, a Black woman is not at the top of the list. I don't think it's intentional. It might be unintentional, but it still happens. And so I'm striving to make room for all voices, not just Black women, people of color, everybody, but recognizing that there's space. There's space that's there. I promise there is a need for speakers. There's a need for your story. There's a need, but also not just getting on stage, but being intentional about it, being purposeful about it, and honoring that. Yes, not a minority, April, not at all. And so with that, thank you for tuning in to my Q&A. I hope this was beneficial. If you got something from it, drop a comment and say, yep, got it, or thank you, or whatever it is, just to let me know if this was beneficial. I will strive to do another one next week, and it may not be on speaking. I might do one on solo travel. I might want to do one on grief. People very often ask me about grief as well as being single, but this is a tool. So let me talk real quick about using Facebook Live. This is free. And as I shared in the beginning, this was something that made me nervous, but it's free. And I know that I have something that is beneficial to offer others. And I'm not the only one. So consider using Facebook Live to offer encouragement, offer anything you want, whatever it is. So if there's anything that I can do to support you, if you want to chat with me further, shoot me a message. We'll do that. And then ladies, join me in Colombia in March. You can check my Facebook page about that. Have a fantastic day. Use your voice. Your voice is needed. Your voice is powerful. Be you. Don't ever wing it. And have fun when you're on stage. Okay? Deuces. Thank y'all for tuning in. Bye. Now, how do we turn this off? Oh, right then. Hello.